You are now listening to Alice.
Chapter 1. The Norman Mansion was a place filled with noise, lights, and too much laughter. To outsiders, it was the perfect picture of wealth and elegance. People looked at the Norman family and saw beauty, money, and power. But behind those heavy doors, one daughter lived like a ghost in her own home. Alice Norman was the youngest, the one who didn't shine as brightly as her sisters. Her sisters, Arabella, Nova, and Crystal, were beautiful by society's standards. They had smooth, pale skin, silky hair, and sparkling blue eyes that made them the center of every gathering. Alice was different. Her darker skin stood out in a family that valued fairness. Her curly hair was wild and untamed, unlike her sister's sleek, straight locks. Her face carried the marks of stubborn acne that never seemed to leave, and her eyes, one brown, one gray, made her the target of endless ridicule. It wasn't that Alice wasn't pretty. She had features that could make her striking if anyone cared to look past her imperfections. However, no one in the Norman household ever attempted it. Her parents ignored her most days, and her sisters found new reasons daily to remind her of what she lacked. Alice learned early to hide. She wore a face mask whenever she was around her family, a plain black one that covered her cheeks and nose. It was her shield. Behind it, she could pretend no one saw her, pretend that her sisters' laughter bounced off instead of cutting deep. Even at home, she didn't remove it. Not when her sisters could appear at any moment, ready to make her feel small. That night was no different. Dinner had ended in the grand dining hall. The chandelier sparkled above as her family chatted about business and parties. Alice had taken her seat at the far end, quiet as always, pushing food around her plate. Nobody noticed when she left early, not even her parents. She climbed the staircase to her room, her mask still in place. The wide hallway was lined with portraits of her sisters, all painted in expensive oil colors. Alice's portrait had never been commissioned. Why would it? Who would hang the face of a girl who didn't fit the Norman image? Her room was small compared to the others, tucked at the end of the hall like an afterthought. She stepped inside and closed the door behind her, breathing in the silence she craved. The walls were covered with sketches, designs, and colorful notes pinned across corkboards. Her desk overflowed with wires, screens, and half-built gaming prototypes. This was her world, the one place where her imagination didn't judge her. Alice dropped into her chair and pushed her mask up just enough to take a sip of water. She didn't dare take it off completely. Old habits clung too tightly. Her laptop screen glowed with a draft of her latest project, a fantasy game she had been building for months. She clicked through her notes, whispering softly to herself, "If I fix the coding on this level, the player can unlock the hidden map earlier." She typed quickly, her mind lost in the world she was creating. In her games, nobody cared about acne, curly hair, or mismatched eyes. In her games, the heroes came in every form, every skin tone, every shape. They were powerful not because they looked perfect, but because they dared to rise despite their flaws. Alice smiled faintly, a rare smile. Someday, she told herself, the world would know her name, not as the invisible Norman daughter, but as the creator of something extraordinary. A knock at the door startled her. She froze. Nobody ever knocked on her door. Before she could answer, the muffled sound of giggling drifted from the hallway. Arabella's voice was loudest. "Can you believe Alice thinks she can make video games? As if anyone would play something created by her." Arabella sneered. Nova's laugh followed, sharp and cruel. "Exactly. Who would want to look at her face, let alone her work? She should be grateful Dad doesn't force her to work in the basement." Crystal chimed in, her tone dripping with mock pity. "Maybe she thinks hiding behind that silly mask will make her ideas more believable." Poor Alice. She doesn't even realize how pathetic she looks. Their laughter echoed in Alice's chest like knives. She pressed her back against the door, gripping the handle as if it were the only thing holding her upright. Her throat tightened. She wanted to scream at them, to tell them they were wrong. But the words stuck, Trapped by years of silence, the footsteps faded as her sisters walked away. Still laughing, Alice slid down to the floor, hugging her knees. The glow from her laptop painted her room in a soft blue light, highlighting her mask. She buried her face in her arms. For years, she had tried to prove herself. She once mentioned her dream of designing games to her father. Richard Norman had looked at her as though she had suggested becoming a clown. "Nonsense," he said. "Normans run businesses, not play with childish things. You'll manage one of our departments, like your sisters." Her mother hadn't even glanced up from her wine glass. "You should be grateful you're part of this family. Stop chasing useless dreams." That was when Alice realized she was invisible. No matter what she did, she would never be good enough for them. Tears stung her eyes now, but she refused to let them fall. She was stronger than this. She had to be. If no one believed in her, she would believe in herself. Alice stood and walked back to her desk, forcing her hands to keep typing. The screen blurred through her tears, but she pushed forward. "One day," she whispered to the empty room. "One day, they'll see me," but deep inside, she wondered if that day would ever come. Outside her window, the city lights of California glimmered in the distance. Somewhere out there, people were chasing dreams and being seen. Alice wished she could be one of them. She didn't know that fate was already moving, quietly weaving her path towards someone who had once promised never to leave her. Someone who still remembered the girl who punched a bully just to protect him. And as Alice sat there, typing through her pain, the sound of a car pulling up to the mansion echoed faintly outside. She didn't hear it. She didn't see the shadow of a man standing at the gates, looking up at the Norman house with determined eyes.